morning. It's morning huddle time. Chad Prinky here, as always, along with my good friend, producer, co-host extraordinaire, Stacey.
Stop.
Stacey.
Hey, how do you want us to install this water heater? And then my coworker was like, I don't know, install the water heater. Like, why are you even asking me? He's like, well, I don't know if you know, but what you designed, it can't physically fit through the front door of this building.
My class is only 40 minutes. So we have to get this done in 40 minutes. You have to clean up in 40 minutes. And then it also, when you use the miter saw, a lot of kids are scared of the miter saw, and you just see the difference in their confidence when they come in here compared to when they leave. They're excited.
Be announcing a new county that's going to join us in Maryland, so we continue to spread it. And I'll say my peers across the country are starting to take this and adopt this at their local IEC chapters.
Either AI assistant tools, you have AI master builder tools, and then you have kind of a bit of both that are 1 foot in BIM, in current processes, and 1 foot in AI.
Said, Brett, in life, opportunity meets you at your level of preparation.
She said, here's the keys, go forth and do great things.
Good morning. It is morning huddle time. Chad Prinky here alongside Stacey Holzinger for our final episode of the season, for which means basically we'll see you in 3 months. Stacey, how are you today?
I'm doing good. I'm kicking off my social media campaign with my interns. I got them all lined up. So I have 5 high school interns joining me, and then a marketing coordinator that's in college. She'll be helping me. It's called Chat CTE, Career Technical Education, and we're going out to various job sites this summer and interviewing people in trades about what they like about their job, how much money they make, what training it takes to get to where they're at, just 3 to 4 simple questions. And the purpose of that is all the research that we did in the cohort that I was in was basically, we can't take superintendents, foremen, field workers out of the field to go into schools to talk. So we're coming to them, and we're going to launch these 2 channels on TikTok and Instagram. And hopefully they'll be successful with everyone's support. We have a lot of backing and support throughout the United States and the various cohorts that we're at. So we're really excited about it.
Stacey, that is going to blow up. You know that? It's going to be insane.
A lot of work.
That is going to be insane. How does somebody watch this, get into that? You know, if somebody wants to see this, you know, what is destined to be adorable interactions, where do we go and see it?
Just Instagram and TikTok. We just started the channels, so it's chat_CTE.
Awesome. Cool name too. Smart.
Yeah. We're going to start out launching those videos 1 or 2 a week in mid-June. So we're going to do that all summer. And if anybody wants to participate, we're going to just start off in the DMV area because of schedules and everything. We have a lot of different schedules to work out, but we have about 4 to 5 contractors on board now. So anyone that's, you know, excited about workforce development, speaking to kids, promoting the trades, I would love to have you as a partner. So
awesome. Thank you, Stacey. Thanks for that work too. That's you know, gonna have reverberations. I can't wait to watch how that goes. It's gonna be really cool.
I'm excited. So any updates on the book, or do you have any upcoming courses that you want to promote?
So a couple of quick things. So the book, first off, again, the book is called Well Built. You can get it on Amazon. It is how the top 2% of construction contractors create superior value, profits, and excellence. The official hard launch is June 18th, but the book is available for pre-sale, and I can officially say that we've graduated from dozens of sales into hundreds of sales.
Awesome.
So last week we had just on Friday almost 150 book sales, which was that was pretty exciting. I didn't buy any of them. I bought 30, but that doesn't count. That doesn't count in the 150. We sent out an email to the executives at the companies that Well Built is currently working with, and who did some bulk buys for their teams, which was really cool. So yeah, we really appreciate their support, and frankly, we're going to be talking a lot about the book and a lot of our upcoming work and trainings and consulting sessions. So it's going to be helpful for them to have that, which is really cool. Make sure that you check that book out. I'd love your candid feedback. Write an honest review. Hopefully, it's a great review, but honest is all I care about at the end of the day. And the other thing that I wanted to share with you, Stacy, is and with the audience, just to make sure that they're aware of, we have these shows. This is the Morning Huddle. We have guests every week, and when we bring on these people who are creating positive change in the construction industry, and this is our passion project that we started with 3 years ago. We tacked on this long form discussion between Matt Verderamo and I, that we do once a month. And Matt and I just filmed, recorded our third episode of that last night. And that, I got to tell you, every time I finish that show, I feel like this sense of like, man, I finally said everything that's on my mind. It's a great feeling. So
it's therapy for you.
It is. It's totally therapeutic. Because I spent, as I don't know, most audience members would be like, Chad, you still mostly talk a lot. But I don't feel, when you're interviewing, you have to have some discipline, damn it. It's about the guest. But this is that, long form show. Get an opportunity to like say everything that I'm thinking. And Matt and I have a lot of fun doing that. So if you haven't checked out the Well Built series of the Morning Huddle Construction Show, be sure to do that.
And I like the format of it because it's completely different. It's very structured, so it's not just talking about one topic. But you get into debates and things like that, so it's fun.
Yeah, it is fun. We always have this fun moment where it's all right, it's time to fight, and Matt's like, totally a lover, not a fighter.
He is.
and every time he's like, fine. I guess we have to argue. I'm just here for the vibes, man.
Yeah.
So anyway, go to the morninghuddleconstructionshow.com. Make sure that you're subscribed and all that kind of jazz. But do check out the Well Built series if you haven't listened to one of those. I'd welcome your feedback there too. So Stacy, it is our final episode of this season, and I'm really excited to have Zach and Scott joining us for this show. So I'm going to introduce each of them. We're going to be talking about the veterans in the construction industry and both of their experience as veterans themselves in the construction industry, as well as this sort of world that they've helped to create and participate in, where veterans in the construction industry are finding each other and sharing their stories and so on. So with that, I'll start with Zach Scheel. So Zach is the CEO of Rhumbix. Rhumbix is a job site software that is time tracking and a series of other things. I'll let him describe further. Rhumbix has been around since 2014, and he is co-founder and CEO of that group. So Zach, thank you so much for joining us, and I look forward to hearing more about your company so our audience can learn.
All right, thanks for having me.
Absolutely. And then second, we have Scott Friend. Scott is joining us. He is currently a superintendent at Swinnerton and has an extensive experience of operating in construction leadership roles, as well as the founder and host of the Construction Veteran podcast, which is a show definitely worth checking out. That tells all kinds of inspirational stories and just downright funny stories, from people who have made the transition from a career in the military to a career in construction. So, Scott, thanks for joining us as well.
Yeah, appreciate you guys. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, you bet. All right, so I'd love to hear, just because construction tech is an interesting topic in general. I'd love to hear from you, Zach, a 30-second version of what is Rhumbix and what are the applications, just so that our audience can picture what exactly you do.
Yeah, Rhumbix is a field and workforce management platform. So we help self-performing contractors, both trade contractors as well as general contractors, manage their craft and their skilled craft labor. So We're tracking timekeeping, production tracking, we're pulling in budgets, daily budget versus actual production unit rate analytics. We're doing stuff like T&M tracking for field directed change orders, as well as T&M unit rate contracts. A lot of health and safety documentation, just basically providing a one-stop shop for foremen and superintendents to get rid of all the administrative tasks and make those a lot easier to document so they can focus on planning the work and working the plan.
Awesome. And it plugs into, accounting software and all that kind of jazz too.
Yeah, integrates with all the ERPs out there, as well as Autodesk, Procore, project management systems, and really is a purpose-built platform for the field that provides a lot of valuable insights to the trailer and the back office.
If I were a contractor, putting together my technology stack, as they call it, would be one of the most stressful experiences I can possibly think of. So it's always good to know of reputable companies that are proven and aren't gonna be a waste of your time. And massive waste of money, which software can be. And so I've heard great things, and glad to have you on.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, when we started 10 years ago, there was maybe 50 to 100 construction techs in the whole world, construction tech startups in the whole world. Now there's 4,000 or 5,000. And so, kind of as you alluded to, if it's not a world you live in every day and are exposed to, you can get kind of decision fatigue trying to figure out what's the best tool to deploy at your company.
Yeah, it's and again, there are so many horror stories about terrible rollouts that just cost massive amounts of money and led to ultimately nothing. It's one of those spaces where you really have to find people that that are proven. Yeah, like I don't. If you go online and you find a neat tech, don't buy it. That would be my advice. Right, just
marketing
slow down.
Can do a lot to make a bad product look like it does more than it does. So
there's a lot of vaporware out there, man.
Exactly.
Yep.
Yeah. All right. Well, cool. Not the purpose of the conversation. Both of you guys are military veterans. Thank you both for your service. Would love to hear a little bit of your stories and sort of how each of you ended up in the background that you had and how you each ended up playing this role in the construction industry. I'll start with Scott. Scott, what's your military background, and then how did you end up in the in the construction industry?
Yeah, so Zach and I both actually were fortunate enough. We served in the Naval Civil Engineer Corps, which is commonly referred to as the CBs, which comes from the acronym CB, Construction Battalion. So I was a builder in the Construction Battalion. You basically have all the trades to get a city built, is a good way to put it. Did that I was active duty 7 years, and then got out in DC, which is actually where I met Stacy. We met, I think it was an ABC event up there, and I had just started my career in the commercial side of the industry, so had a background as a carpenter, and so I had all the trade skills and really had to learn what was the business side of this industry, and I've been with it ever since. I separated from active duty in 2011. Did a couple different roles here and there, but I love the field. I love being able to lead teams, and I've stuck with that ever since.
That's awesome. What has kept you in the construction industry all this time? Why what's the draw?
The best and worst thing about this industry are the people. So I love the people in this industry, but they can make it tough as well. But I mean, somebody gave me an opportunity, and I get to meet men and women every day that maybe didn't have those opportunities, and I can provide those to them. And it's really fun for me. I think the most gratifying thing is being able to see someone go through an apprentice program and become a journeyman, and then they're running crews and they're running work, and being able to run into them years later and just chit chat about their career. I think it's very satisfying, and it can be obviously very financially rewarding as well. And then I get to use my skills at the house, and practical ways to use my job outside of work.
Cool. That's awesome, man. I think as a superintendent working for a general contractor, you really do get to interface with the people who are doing the building every day, and I think that's that's a cool place to be. And like you said, you have an opportunity to provide to create, um, uh, growth and education, and for people who are open to it, for people who have their mind open to that type of thing. If you're given to leadership development, there's a ton of leadership opportunities, a lot of leadership development opportunities out there, right? Dealing with working with the tradesmen.
Yeah, absolutely, I agree.
What kind of stuff are you building for Swinnerton?
So personally, I'm on a large fit out mixed with some exterior renovation work and MEP. The building is about 340,000 square foot. We're fitting that out and adding generator pads, exterior seating. So as a company, we cover pretty much every market that you can think of. The Dallas office is coming up on 5 years. So the company's been around since 1888, but the Dallas office is newer. But we're doing aviation here, parking decks, corporate fit outs, government work. So pretty much you name it, we touch it.
Yeah, 300-some thousand square foot fit out is one heck of a fit out. That's got to be a fun job. Yeah, you're tired. That's also part of the industry, right? I mean, it's that's all part of the game. I often think about, if I worked for a general contractor, I think I would prefer to be a superintendent myself. Just there's something about like the start early, finish late, but be done, kind of thing is that I would rather have than the constant sitting behind my email waiting for the next thing to hit, right? Not that email is not a part of the job as a superintendent, but it's a little different than I think for PMs.
Yeah, I did a short stint on the office side and went, I really like being able to leave the job and unless something's burning down or, something tragic happens, I'm probably not getting a phone call.
Yeah, exactly. That's the benefit. All right, cool. So a CB, and both of you guys are CBs. We actually had a guest on a guy named Ben Nichols, he's a great guy. He's the president of Harkins Construction, which is here in the DC Baltimore area. He also is a CB, and I got to tell you, if we got the three of you together, there's a communication style that's kind of typical. I'm wondering if they grow you guys on a farm or how that works. All right, Zach, share your story a little bit with us.
Yeah, so similar to Scott, served with the U.S. Navy CBs. So Scott went the enlisted route. So he was frontline builder, and I went through the ROTC program and came out as an officer. So I was a paper pusher. I was the guy that didn't get to leave the job site at the end of the day. Thankfully, most of the years I served, I was too junior to get a BlackBerry, so I didn't have email when I left the office, which was nice. But yeah, it was a great opportunity to learn construction management. So I served at Naval Station Everett, Washington, where I helped build the Navy's first 2 LEED Gold certified buildings. Spent a year as an assistant public works officer, kind of running that base with the PWO, really supporting the Lincoln Carrier Strike Group, and then did overseas deployment to Djibouti, where was in charge of the entire base utility kind of upgrade, really positioning that base, taking it from a more of a forward operating base to a real permanent camp back in 2010, 2011. And I was over there while the Arab Spring started and sub-Saharan Africa. And so it was a interesting time to be in that part of the world.
I can imagine. Yeah, that was an interesting time to be watching that part of the world from afar. I wonder what it was like there. I won't force you into any of those stories, but I think we can certainly imagine what operating in that kind of environment might have been like. So why did you end up transitioning into well, I mean, I guess when did you end up saying, hey, I'm not going to build stuff, I'm going to create a software that helps people to build stuff? I know you spent some time at Bechtel. Like, paint that picture.
Yeah, so I left the Navy, went to business school, and then did a 2-year program with the MS in construction as well as an MBA, and spent both my summer internships with Bechtel. The first one was at Ivanpah. So it's a 396 megawatt concentrated solar thermal power plant in the middle of the Mojave Desert.
Wow.
That was about a 2,000 craft job site. And then next summer, I spent up in northern Chile at a place called Minera Escondida. Is the world's largest copper mine. So literally 10% of the world's copper comes out of one hole in the middle of nowhere in northern Chile. And this was a $3.5 billion cost plus contract that had a $900 million cost overrun. The primary source of data that we needed on that job site was coming from 1,000 paper time cards handwritten in Chilean Spanish. We had a 70-person clerical staff. It took them about 4 days to translate to English, put into an Excel spreadsheet that was uploaded to an Access database. That some Bechtel homegrown software was used to manage the project budget. And the punchline is most of the data was wrong. The latency and the inaccuracy meant we couldn't manage the project, and it was leading to these cost overruns, a lot of friction with the owner and the client. And that was the kind of big light bulb epiphany moment where there was a system actually that I was exposed to in the military called Blue Force Tracker. Your blue forces are your friendly forces. And it was just, at the time it was Panasonic Toughbook computers, but when we're sitting in the Combat Operations Center, the Joint Operations Center in Djibouti, you're getting data from the field all throughout the continent of Africa, real time. And so that was kind of the idea and the inspiration. In 2013, 14, even on this job site in northern Chile, most of the workers had smartphones in their pockets, and it was how can you develop software that creates data flowing up from the field in a more real time and more accurate instance that allows the trailer and the back office the information they need to more proactively manage job sites and better outcomes.
That I'd imagine that experience was, that's sitting right there as case study number one. Like here's a $3 billion project with a $900 million cost overrun. Do not solely, but I'm sure largely to the mess of tracking.
Yeah. I mean, it was a 27 million man hour job, and we were trying to track it on paper.
That's amazing. Yeah. That's yeah. And and the year started with 2000 something, that's another anyway. But yeah, I get
it. When that happened?
What's that?
What year was it?
That project ran from around 2011 through, I think it finished up in 2014.
Okay.
So
yeah,
I think overall, both of your stories are fascinating in their own right. The common thread is this combination between the military service and the pull into the construction industry. And I think overall I feel like there's I'm not going to say untapped. I think it's tapped, but I also think it's not maximized. There's this potential combination that we should be pursuing much more proactively about pulling veterans into the construction industry. Would you guys agree? And if so, why is it such a natural transition? I'll start with Scott on that.
Yeah, agreed 100%. That's a big push behind my show. A lot of the people that I interview, we miss that team aspect. And I think in the construction industry, we find that whether you're in the field or in the office, it's that common goal and mission that we're working toward. And for me at least, it was a natural transition. It's chaotic, much like a deployment might be. Things are changing all the time. It can be very dangerous sometimes. Safety is a huge aspect in the service and obviously our industry. So I felt for me personally, and a lot of folks that I've interviewed, it's just natural. I had a retired Green Beret that I interviewed, and he said the folks on his site, he would take any of them downrange. And coming from somebody of that caliber, I mean, that means a lot. And that's because of the tenacity of these people, the humility of a lot of people we have in the field, the constant learning, the dependence on each other to get the job done. I shouldn't say nobody. Most people aren't cocky enough to think that they can get the job built by themselves.
Right.
And so for me, it was perfect. I mean, I get to learn still every single day, much like I would in the service. I have these people that everybody plays a role, but we're also willing to lend a hand and go out of our lane and help our buddy to succeed as well. And we care about these people personally too. And that was another big thing to me, is that the people that I work alongside of, these are some of them friends outside of work. You know, they ask me about my kids. And so it's much less of a job. You know, it's more of, this is my lifestyle. These are the people that care about me and my family, and that felt really easy for me to make that transition.
I imagine. Yeah, I love it. I'm pulling away from that, this idea of camaraderie, this
Yeah.
idea of working together with your team toward this common mission, and maybe the action. You know, the stuff there's action. There's stuff happening all day, every day. Things change. It's fluid. We gotta flex with it. So you keep your adrenaline pumping, which maybe is something that you got used to, you know, and that you kind of need. Otherwise, you just can, you know, maybe get bored.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there's something special about a massive concrete pour, cranes coming in, and it's exciting, that kind of stuff. And it's inherently dangerous too, a little bit. And yeah, maybe I'm just chasing that adrenaline high still all the time.
Yeah, well, but I think there's something to it. I mean, there are all kinds of options we have when we work. And, you know, speaking for myself, for example, I have to stand in front of large groups of people every day, right? That's a part of my gig, is I'm speaking in front of, you know, groups from 10 to 100 to 1,000 people at any point in time. And I'm pretty addicted to that feeling. You know, I don't know what I would do without that feeling.
Yeah.
Most people hate that feeling. You know that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, you know, that kind of reminds me of, you see a lot of those videos of the big motivational speech when people are about to make this big push on a deployment. And we kind of get that when I'm standing in front of, you know, a couple hundred people, and I get to lead these people and motivate them into doing sometimes stuff they don't want to really do. People are tired, and it's kind of that same rush and feeling. So I get that. It's very similar.
It's got to be. Yeah, it's got to be. There's something there, that I completely relate to. Having zero experience in the service, there's definitely, you know, something in there, that's a common thread. And what would you add on to that, Zach? What you know, this transition from military to construction, why does that seem like a natural to you?
Yeah, I think it all comes down to culture. Culturally, they're very, very similar. You know, Scott, I think, hit on a lot of the great points. You know, getting together to build a big project with the team is very similar to coming together as a deployment. You got a mission to do. You got something to accomplish. It's all about the people. The people are what make it work, what make it great and worthwhile. And you know, what Scott said, similar. It can also be what makes it challenging and frustrating at times. But you know, at the end of the day, you're able to walk away, and it's no question, you know, what your efforts led to. You can walk away from a finished project. You walk away from, you know, whatever mission you're on in the military, and there's a good sense of accomplishment with the team, and a esprit de corps that exists on those projects. And then, you know, I think also, you know, a lot of folks in the military, you know, if they try to go into corporate America, you know, drinking Monster Energy and ripping cigs at 6 a.m. is kind of frowned upon. But
yeah, tearing down a heater at 6 a.m. Yeah.
Nobody's looking at you weird, right? So I think
it's so true. Tattoos, no big deal.
Cursing.
You like to chew tobacco? Great, me too. It's right.
Yeah. No, I mean, I remember even when I was working with Bechtel and in a corporate job back in Reston, and I just roll up my sleeves every day, and I don't know that just I think, you know, I fit in like business clothes. Like one of the people was like, "Why do you roll up your sleeves every day?" I was like, "I don't know. I like having my arms out."
Yeah. That's awesome.
And so I think construction is just culturally very, very similar to the military. And so even if you didn't do construction in the military, so like Scott and I worked in the military, but he was saying like a Green Beret. And so regardless of what you did in the military, I think it's a very, very culturally similar environment to move into the construction industry. And that's true whether you're in the trades and in the field or also, on the project management side of the house.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Great. Yeah. There are so many parallels as you're describing it. I'm like, a project is a deployment.
Yep.
We go on that deployment, we finish that thing together, we celebrate as a team, and we move to the next one. And also the people change.
Yep.
On the next one, it's going to be a different team. There are going to be folks. You're going to have to work with new subcontractors. You're going to have to work and so on and so forth. So I imagine, again, same type of thing. People rotating in, rotating out. There's got to be a lot of similarities. I want to pause for a moment. I want to thank our sponsors, and then I want to get into talking a little bit, just to prime the pump for you guys. I want to get into talking a little bit about how you would recommend the construction that companies in the construction industry and people inside the construction industry connect with, reach out, and tap into that supply chain of people who are rotating out of military service and should be rotating into a construction job. So think about that while I thank our sponsors. I'm going to start with Katz Abosch. Katz Abosch is a mid-market accounting firm that has tax, audit, as well as a great team of consultants that really understand the construction industry. Definitely worth talking to Katz Abosch if you are in the market for an accounting firm. Next is Lawrence Law. Lawrence Law is an attorney that focuses on small to mid-sized contractors. They know everything that contractors are going to run into on a day in, day out basis, whether you're a GC or a trade contractor. Lawrence Law knows how to help. There's Sandy Spring Bank. Sandy Spring Bank is a regional bank in Maryland. They do an awesome job matching up with the very specific financial needs of the companies that they work with, who they have a huge pool of contractors, and that's for a reason. I think they truly do understand how to help those guys meet their financial goals. And then lastly is Marsh McLennan Agency, which is a full service insurance and bonding company that really can, they go to bat for their clients with the insurance agencies themselves, and they make sure that their people, that their clients have the bonding capacity they need to grow. All right. With that, so I'll turn the question over to you guys, and you decide who wants to speak up. But I'd love to hear ideas for how we can connect with the military community and attract more of them to the construction industry.
Scott, you want to lead off?
Sure. Yeah, I think part of the impetus of why I even started my show was that. I mean, I was looking at this large labor gap that we have and everybody complains about all the time. And I'm going, well, what are we doing about it? And not that there aren't initiatives, but, being a vet myself, I'm looking at people getting out looking for work. And we've already talked about all these great similarities. And I'm thinking, man, we're doing a disservice to our veterans by not reaching out to them. The industry is. And I can remember when I transitioned out, I don't ever recall there being a representative from our industry talking about it. A lot of it was tech. No offense. A lot of it was that was the big boom at the time. And, we're talking 2011 when a lot of technology was coming out. And so there were a lot of IT recruiters, which there's nothing wrong with that. But I'm going, man, I know what I wanted to do. And there's statistics out there of approximately 200,000 people separate from the service every year. And a big chunk of that is, the one contract, 4 years, maybe a little more. Individuals that are in there, if they enlisted early 20s, maybe mid 20s. So these are able-bodied, hungry folks that need a good position. And I'm looking at the runway that they can have in this industry. And I'm thinking, what can we do to pair these up? So why are we not doing things like TikTok and what we're doing here, the podcasts? And
Yep.
I've seen it improve immensely over the last couple of years, for sure. There's other shows that are doing something similar to mine now, really trying to reach out to those folks. But if you're in the industry, you're thinking, well, how do I get in touch with these people? This sounds all good and well. What do I do? Well, get in touch with, if you're local to a base, which you might not be around a large metropolitan area, but look into their TAP program, which is transition assistance. Different branches call it different things, but these are people that are getting out. And how do I get in touch with these individuals? Talk to the local colleges. look at the job fairs. DAV is a great one, Disabled American Vets. They have nationwide job fairs where you can go in. I'm not quite sure if there's a fee or what that fee might be, but you can go in and set up your table, much like you would any other job fair. And you've just got waves and waves of people coming in that are transitioning veterans looking to get out. And I think we could do a better job as an industry also educating these folks that are getting out. And I'm speaking from experience. It's really hard to look somebody in the face that's served 20 years to say, hey, you might have to start at this lower level. You might not be the big cheese right off the bat. However, here is that runway that you can run with, and here's the opportunities that you have. So I think, man, that's a really difficult question to answer. I don't think it's just one thing that we can do, but it's a lot of us. It's shows like this and just getting the word out there and sharing it with the community.
Awesome. Thanks, Scott. What would you add on, Zach?
Yeah, look, I wish there was a single source that you could go to and see all the veterans. And, the reality is that doesn't yet exist. Hopefully it does someday to be able to help with that transition out of military service into the civilian world, as they refer to it as. But kind of capturing a lot of the things Scott mentioned. I think, if you want to hire veterans, just be intentional about it. Put on your website, put on your social media, but we'd like to hire veterans. It's the same as trying to increase participation of women in the construction industry and other minorities. Like, you have to be intentional about it. Raise the signal that says we're hiring and this is the people that we're looking for. Build your networks. Find just a veteran. That's a good, find one. He's got probably 4 or 5 that he can introduce you to.
Right, that's true.
And, build that natural organic network. I think there are some companies that have done this phenomenally. If you look at API Group, they were started by a veteran, so not surprising there, but they've got a leadership development program. So a lot of the folks that run the subsidiary companies are all veterans, and they groom them because they know that pedigree that they come with, leadership, service-driven mentality, a deep, care and respect for the health and safety of all the people that are working and bringing them home with all 10 fingers and toes every night. They actually will tell you that part of their competitive differentiation is the veterans in their workforce. And I think it is tapped, but you put it well. There's a lot more that we can get out of the veteran population in the construction industry. And I get it. It's hard. If especially on the coast, there's not as many folks in the military. I was at Stanford for business school, and I was the first veteran a lot of my classmates had ever met and interacted with. And that's the reality of it. But, being intentional and that means like prioritizing it, putting budget behind it and going out and doing it. And they're out there and you'll find them and they'll make great employees. And to Scott's point, it's a huge way to shrink this 500 to 700,000 worker craft shortage that we have in the industry today. And that gap's getting bigger because the amount of stuff that we need to build, the infrastructure bill and all this stuff coming online, we can't get enough able-bodied people out there in the trades to build all the work that's coming down the pipeline.
That's awesome. Thank you. I think that's a great description from the two of you of how all these different ways we can tap into it. I totally agree. You hire one, and it's true about most things. If you hire one, they can bring a group with them, and because that's a really natural, organic way to do it. And yeah, I think you're right, Scott. I think shows like yours are specifically trying to tap into the media landscape and demonstrate that this is a thing, and it's very viable, and there are a lot of happy veterans in this industry. All right, cool, good stuff. A couple of I guess final questions as we start to close in. One of the things that you started to touch on was Blue Force Tracker, and it made me immediately think of like, man, and that was if I remember correctly, if I understand it right, that was the tech that you guys were using as CBs when you were building in the military. What tech matters to your job every day. So I'm going to start with you, Scott. Like, what tech is actually working for you when it comes to when it comes to a building? Like, it's and just be real. Like, you don't have to make a list of things that don't work. Just what are the things that you really do use?
Well, and I'm glad you asked what doesn't work too, because there's a lot of awesome tech out there that just sometimes doesn't. Not that it doesn't work in the field, but it just might not be practical. It might be great for design, whether that's VD&C or all these different things that come out. I think it's great, but trying to push all of that on the field sometimes just isn't practical. And I get more use out of this thing than anything else, because communication is the biggest thing I believe in the field, and it's that flow of information. There's some awesome programs out there with drawings. Like, everybody has an iPad now. iPads are huge. I still like my physical plans, but I think between the iPad and the cell phone, as long as I've got the most up-to-date information and I can deliver that to individuals in the field or communicate back to the office, really that's all we need at a baseline. Field, at least. So if you think about it, and I'm going to simplify all this, but if you really boil down all this technology that we have, it does boil down to communication. How am I getting that information from the designer to my team so we can price it up and we can deliver that to the trade to then put it in place? And I could go all day about all the new tools. Like, there's some amazing tools that are coming out that help with ergonomics, help make work in the field a lot easier on our bodies. So yeah, I could talk all day about that stuff, but really it boils down to communication.
Cool. Love it. I when you say technology that's coming down the line to make work easier on our bodies, I think about at least the picture that I'm getting in my mind is it's all hardware, maybe robotics, things along those lines. Is that am I heading down that right road?
Yeah, I mean, there's one that comes to mind. Just making things simpler, maybe easier, more efficient. I'm trying to think of one that's good. I know Hilti is really good at this stuff with these robotic vests, I guess you could say, that they wear to make carrying the tools a little easier. They got the whole wire thing going over the guy's head, or the robots that'll sit there and drill for you, things that aren't tearing people's bodies up. So by the time they're 50 years old, they can barely move. So there's all that great stuff coming out.
Man, I assembled a grill cart by myself this weekend in my garage.
Yeah.
I needed like physical therapy afterward. I was like, my God, I was on my knees, my back was killing me. It was like, this is crazy. And I spent 15 years, well, not quite 15, I guess 12 years in the field, myself helping to build stuff. But that was a very younger me. That was a much younger me.
Yeah, and I, not to get off track, but to really, I appreciate Stacy and folks like her that do a lot better at marketing too. Back to the question about how we can get people into this industry, is I think it's changed a lot in the last decade, that we're showing people, hey, look, things aren't as difficult physically as they used to be, or it can be a lot more rewarding than people really think about it. Is that it's financially rewarding. You can step back and look at the job that you've done at the end of the day. And I really got to give it up to marketing folks at a lot of our companies, as Stacy, you and all these people that are doing a good job of spotlighting what our industry is now.
That's great.
Yeah, thank you so much. I wanted to ask you, on your podcast, is there any other examples of great contractors that are doing a good job at recruiting veterans?
I am having a really crummy time of connecting. Sorry.
We've got a brain freeze. It's all good. That's normal. I end up with those about 4 times an episode. I just talk through them.
I guess we're losing service here.
It's all good. Yeah.
It's okay.
It's all good.
I can follow up with them and send something out.
You mentioned the API Group, Zach. What is API Group? A training organization? Is it a contractor? What is that?
I think they're the number 4 specialty subcontractor in the U.S. On the ENR top 600 subcontractor list. So It's a conglomerate. I think they've got probably 40 or so different operating entities.
Got it. I know their brands. I don't know them. Yeah, I just popped into their website and I'm like, oh, okay, got it. So I'm seeing here. There's they own something looks like about 15 or 20 companies.
Yeah, they've got a division that's on especially subcontractor side. They do a lot of like pipelines and industrial services. And then they got a whole life safety, fire protection systems, alarm systems division as well. I think they're across 2 different continents, the U.S. and Europe. But they recruit and have leadership development tracks specifically to get veterans and plug them in. And I know Reed Huckfin, he goes by Huckfin at API Construction as a Army Ranger, believe, and Mike Landis, who runs Classic Industrial Services, as a Marine Corps officer. And both of them are, around my age, late 30s, 40, and CEOs of these construction companies. And they got to that position after maybe 5 to 6 years of going through this leadership development pipeline. And so that's a great example of how somebody can come out of the service and be running, an organization that's doing $200-300 million of WIP per year within 5 to 6 years of getting out of service.
Awesome. All right, cool. Good. I guys, I think we're gonna wrap it here. This was a great conversation that ranged from some topics from how do we attract these veterans, why is construction such a great place for veterans to be, and then also some really practical discussions about tech in construction and why we are where we are today. I think and you know what, there's some interesting tie-ins actually for tech and construction and recruiting into construction, which I think is real as well. So I want to thank you both for being on. Wish you both the best, and look forward to having future conversations with you.
Likewise. Thanks for having us.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Talk soon. All right, Stace, let's wrap up the season. Let's talk a little bit about what we're doing in between now and then. You and I are going to be me, you, and Matt Verderamo are going to be in Atlanta,
Georgia for Skills USA. We'll be there Monday morning, first thing, me and you, on June 24th, and we'll be interviewing the kickoff of this huge, massive competition of high school kids that are coming to compete all over the U.S., various trades. So we'll talk to them. We'll talk to the judges, to contractors that support them throughout the year. And then on Thursday, Matt joins me. And then we spend the morning doing another live, and we're going to interview the students after they completed the competition, which should be really fun and interesting. And probably some more contractors and whoever else is.
Yeah, we're gonna be roving around the conference, finding people to talk to, which will be
massive competition. So
it is, and it's one that's near and dear to my heart, as you know, my brother.
Yeah.
He actually he won the masonry competition back in 1994, something like that, maybe 96. I can't remember the year. He'd correct me.
My intern that's joining us, Kayla, a little shout out to her. She also competed in it, and she's helping me because I think Wednesday we're going to be going around. She helped me with some questions, and we're going to take the chat CTE interviews there too, to try to interview high school students and get to know, why were you interested in this competition? Because we want to get them early. So we want to, figure out what they like so much about it. And we don't want them to leave.
What makes you people tick?
Yes.
How do we get more of you? That's awesome.
Yeah, it should be fun.
That should be. All right. Well, great. And then, all throughout the summer, we will be doing our monthly Well-Built series. So there won't be no morning huddle shows coming out through the course of that time. So we'll have our special edition at the skills competition in June. We'll have another Well-Built series dropping on June 15th-ish, and then another one July 15th and August 15th. And then we will be back live. I believe, Stacy, it's the second week of September. So we're letting maybe September 10th, right?
September 10th. Yep.
So we'll be back live from September 10th through basically right up to the holidays, and then back again in 25. So it's awesome. Love doing what we're doing. Stacy, thank you so much for putting together amazing guests all season long. And I'll see you in like a week.
I know.
See you soon.
All right. Have a good one.
Thanks. You
Talk
too.
soon. Bye.